Historical Reconstruction of Aryan X. Episode 5. Characteristics of the national and geographical names of Korea, China, Japan, and Taiwan. Do you know the characteristics of the national and geographical names of Korea, China, Japan, and Taiwan? They all share the characteristic of using Chinese characters. Who do you think created these characters? We will reveal their true identity in this episode. With the outdated and fabricated knowledge and common sense you hold, you can never truly see the truth of history. Therefore, a shift in your dimensional perspective is what is needed first. As a touchstone for this, we will change your perspective on language. The existence of China in history. In the previous episode, we stated that the Scythian Cathay was the China that appears in history. However, we also mentioned that the people of the current China do not use words like qi, ka, ke, ge, tan, tong, Scythian, or Aryan at all. This means that the actual China in history is not the current China. Now, let's delve into the details of language to find the real Middle Kingdom, the China that appeared in history. Speech and writing. What if there is speech but no writing? And what if there is writing but no speech? Have you ever thought about this? Speech and writing are the fundamental elements for forming the most basic units of family, society, nation, and the world. In other words, without speech and writing, a society cannot be maintained and history itself cannot exist. Ural-Altaic language family. The Korean language is said to belong to the Ural-Altaic language family. However, we have explained that Ural, Aral, and Altai refer to Central in Central Asia, and that the suffix stan attached to all the country names there is actually a Korean word. This becomes serious. The language of Korea, located 30,000 li distance east of Central Asia, is appearing in the national names of these present-day Central Asian countries. What is even more peculiar is the fact that Korean words appear in national and geographical names all over the world. Indo-European languages. In contrast to the Ural-Altaic language family, there is the Indo-European language family. We generally call the mother tongue of Indo-European languages Sanskrit. The problem is that the word Sanskrit itself is a Korean word. Typically, san attached to national or geographical names carries a sacred meaning. In San Sebastian, a place name in the Basque country of Spain, a favorite place of Aryan X, san means sacred, seba means sha-balg, bright, and ti means tongue, like land, all of which are pure Korean words. Seba and Scythian have the exact same meaning. Among the many place names in Italy, in Santa Maria, san means sacred, and ta is a pure Korean word for teo, like site or land. The S attached to national and geographical names is usually a possessive marker. Basti in San Sebastian means bright land, and Santa in Santa Cruz is a sacred site. Crow in Cruz is a variation of Kori, which means Korea. Now, what is the meaning of Sanskrit, the so-called mother tongue of Indo-European languages? In Sanskrit, san has a sacred meaning, and krit is the pure Korean phrase Kori ui teo, meaning the land of Kori. Isn't this truly amusing? Sanskrit, the so-called mother tongue of Indo-European languages, is a pure Korean phrase meaning sacred land of Korea. How can this be? Sanskrit, the supposed mother tongue of Indo-European languages, was the pure Korean for sacred Korea site. This could also mean that all the knowledge we have learned is fabricated falsehood. Did you know that Easter Island in the South Pacific, Istanbul, the city of Turkey, Islamabad, the capital of Pakistan, Nunis in North Africa, and Israel in the Middle East are all Korean words with the same meaning? Is attached to a country's name is typically the Korean word for outside. Or is outer land. Istanbul is utter bright land. In Islamabad, is and d are the same as Easter, meaning outer land. Tunis is the same Korean as Easter. Israel also becomes la-el, which is outside. This L is the same al or lal from Central in Central Asia. Now, let's reveal the creators of the Chinese characters currently used in Far East Asia's Korea, China, Japan, and Taiwan. A truly astonishing twist awaits. Currently, it is understood that China is the creator of the Chinese characters. However, as we examined with the Scythian Cathay, we said that the Scythian Cathay was called China in history, and this historical China invented Chinese characters. But we also noted that the current China does not use words and terms like Scythian, Aryan, Qi, Ke, or Ka at all. This is because the present-day China is not the China of history. So, who was the historical China that created Chinese characters? Please look forward to it. Hanja, Hanji. If you have ever given a single thought to the fact that Chinese people use the English alphabet to phonetically notate the pronunciation of Hanja, which they call their language, then you are an awakened person. However, if you have seen this and failed to recognize or be conscious of it at all, please keep in mind that there is a problem with you. If there is no script to notate the phonetic sounds of an ideographic script like Hanja, that script cannot be controlled. For example, Korea and Spain both have ideographic scripts that represent meaning and alphabetic scripts that notate phonetic sounds. That is, one can understand the meaning from the writing, but one can also read its phonetic pronunciation. The common feature of Korea and Spanish is that the writing is both the meaning and the phonetic representation. That is why in Korea and Spanish, you do not see the phonetic symbols next to words that are commonly seen when we study English. You just need to read the letters as they are pronounced by convention. However, in the case of English and French, like Spanish, the letters themselves carry meaning, but the pronunciation must be referenced by the phonetic symbols attached next to the words. The commonality among Spanish, English, and French is that they all use the same alphabet, whereas Korea has its own unique alphabet, Hangul. This is the most crucial point in our journey to find the creators of Hanja. Hanja itself signifies meaning, but the fact is that without a separate script to indicate the phonetic sound of the Hanja character, the script of Hanja cannot be controlled. That is, if there is no separate native script to indicate the phonetic pronunciation of Hanja, the Hanja script itself cannot be controlled. However, present-day China lacks a script to notate the phonetics of Hanja characters, and thus uses the English alphabet, while Korea has a separate script to notate the phonetics of Hanja and thus perfectly controls the difficult Hanja. All historical books of present-day Korea, China, and Taiwan are recorded in Hanja. Now, Hanja is a script that has existed for thousands of years and has recorded history. But present-day China, as mentioned, borrows the English alphabet to notate the phonetic sounds of Hanja because it lacks its own script for it. So before they used the English alphabet, how did present-day China notate the phonetic sounds of Hanja to record history? To control or manage the difficult Hanja, there must be a script that notates its phonetic sounds. For example, Koreans know the Hanja character Tien as meaning sky and write it as Chun in Hangul. That is, with their own script, Hangul, they notate the meaning of Tien, sky, and its phonetic pronunciation, Chun. However, present-day China, for the Hanja character Tien, meaning sky, has no separate script to notate its meaning, but indicates its phonetic sound with the English alphabet as Dian. Do you all see what the problem is? There is no language without a script to notate its pronunciation, its phonetic sounds. But the question is, why does China, which claims thousands of years of history and that Hanja is its own, currently uses a foreign script, the English alphabet, to notate the most basic phonetic sounds of Hanja? So, before the use of the English alphabet, that is, before the 1950s, what did they use to notate the phonetic sounds of Hanja to teach their people and transmit their writing, culture, and history? It is impossible without a native script to notate the phonetic sounds of Hanja. For reference, the current Vietnamese language also notates its phonetic sounds with the English alphabet and is a language with many problems. If China began to notate the phonetic sounds of Hanja with the English alphabet in the 1950s, what did they use to notate the pronunciation of Hanja sounds to teach their citizens and continue their history before then? Furthermore, the original forms of Hanja characters themselves contain deep meaning. The places that currently use Hanja in its original form, based on the principles by which it was created, are Korea, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. However, in China, under the pretext of greatly simplifying the characters, which have their original meaning in their form, the characters have been transformed into simplified characters, kanjache. But Hanja has a characteristic where if the character is transformed and changed, its meaning also gets transformed and changed. Therefore, it is said that Chinese people who have learned the transformed simplified Hanja, kanjache, cannot read ancient texts written in the traditional original form of Hanja, created according to its principles. Does this make any sense, this behavior, while claiming Hanja is their own script? The creators of the Hanja you know were the Scythian Aryans, the Koreans. We will continue to reveal this historical evidence slowly. The title of the next episode, Episode 6, is The Secret of the European Races, where we will accurately reveal the true identity of the Greeks, Romans, and Slavs in history. Please contact many people, and I sincerely hope you will join this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The subtitles can be translated into the language of each country, so please make use of them. If there are any issues, please let us know in the comments or via Google Mail. Our Google Mail address is aryanrealhistory@gmail.com. Our YouTube channel address is Historical Reconstruction of Aryan X, or History Restoration of Aryan X. Everyone, your subscriptions and likes are your conscience and passion for the truth, so please do not forget them.